Recording in progress.
Okay, welcome everyone. It is September 12th, 2023. It's our 2 o'clock Commissioner Legislative Consent Agenda. Let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present. We did receive no written comment for today's agenda, but we will start with our open public forum. I don't have anyone at this point signed up for our open public forum, so seeing if there's anyone in the audience or anyone online that would like to speak on a topic other than on our agenda. Not seeing anyone. Second call for anyone wishing to testify at the open public forum. No one online. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify. Seeing no one online, no one in the audience, I will close the open public forum and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move to approve items 2, 3, and 4, including all sub-items on today's 2 p.m. consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, and I didn't ask if anyone wanted to take anything separately. I apologize. Okay. So I have a motion and a second for items 2, 3, 4, and all sub-items on today's agenda. Is there any further discussion? Commissioner Jordan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to briefly speak to item F, and that relates to accepting the federal grant of $500,000 for the Spokane County Sheriff's Office helicopter modernization project. Just wanted to say a few words about my thought process on this and just express thanks and appreciation to Chief Ellis, who came and gave the board a thorough briefing on the air support unit. That was very helpful to me in kind of understanding the unit's mission, some really interesting videos of pursuits that pretty clearly demonstrated that the value that unit brings. So it sounds like this project is called modernization, and I think that was explained to us in several ways, one of which was moving from 4 helicopters to 3, selling one, buying a newer one, as several of them are quite old, and then transitioning another of the helicopters into reserve status, which could potentially be used for maintenance and parts. So just wanted to articulate my understanding in kind of looking at some of the data that Chief Ellis provided, is that in 2022, the air support unit had 184 helicopter flights. The unit was involved in 45 arrests, and that does relate to the entire unit, which has some other capabilities in addition to the helicopters. I appreciated that Chief Ellis kind of sent me a summary of some of the significant events that the unit's been involved in 2023. There was support for pursuing stolen vehicle suspects, an individual with a gun on the Appleway Trail, helping find missing hikers in Micah Peak, helping pursue some folks who were arrested for DUI or had reckless driving concerns. So a lot of serious situations. And so I just wanted to say I respect and appreciate the important mission that they have. They also provide security assistance for things like MLK Day Parade, Bloomsday, et cetera. Speaking to the finances of this, I learned that it's a $0 down payment for the helicopter, which is pretty good, and that the capital expense would be split with the Spokane Valley once we account for the federal grant, the proceeds from the sale of the other helicopter, and then the helicopter air support unit program generally has a contribution from the city of Spokane as well. So it is a partnership between several entities. My biggest question, I think, has just been around kind of the process of how this issue came, or this grant came forward. It was really presented middle of the year, kind of outside of a regular budget cycle. And it seemed that the Sheriff's Office pursued this grant, then brought it forward, and the reality is that if we accept the grant, we're committing to a kind of a larger purchase for the helicopter. And there was also a deadline, right, associated with accepting the grant. And so it did concern me a little bit whether there was advanced coordination between the sheriff's office and the budget office about pursuing such a grant and what the ultimate eventual financial commitment of that would be. So I'm satisfied now that we've kind of talked it through. It's about $100,000 a year for the county starting in 2025. But I did speak with Sheriff Knowles, expressed that concern to him, and I appreciate that he indicated his intent in similar future circumstances where we're dealing with a fairly large capital purchase to coordinate ahead of time around pursuing grants so that we are all fully in the loop in advance. So thank you to Sheriff Knowles for that, and I'll be supporting the item.
Okay, and I did just want to make sure you were aware, Chief Ellis is online if there's any further questions that you have.
He chatted with me earlier today and answered my questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Waldron.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and I do appreciate Chief Ellis providing a lot of data on the use of the helicopter in the context of all the different air technical resources that the Sheriff's Office has. So I'm not going to repeat what Commissioner Jordan said, but I think, you know, there's a lot of good work done, and good to note to the public that the operators of the helicopter are volunteers from the community who are highly trained, and so the costs are kept fairly low for the operation of the unit. I do have concerns about like the mid-year getting the grant, but it wasn't yet in our budget. So I had a good chat with Sheriff Knowles last week, and I expressed my concerns that we make sure that we look for all options in the next several years to enter into agreements with other agencies that are benefiting from the use of the helicopter, so adjoining counties, the city of Spokane, other entities, to make sure everyone's paying their fair share towards the use of that helicopter. So I'm looking forward to working with the sheriff on, you know, interlocal agreements and contracts where we can recoup the costs, and hopefully we can work this year in the budget process to develop, you know, line items for some of these capital projects up front, and then we will know those costs, you know, in the future, and allow the sheriff to, you know, make choices from the budget for other future capital needs. So I will be supporting this, and I appreciate all the help from Chief Ellis and Sheriff Knowles in understanding the history of the program and the future of the program.
Commissioner French.
You know, the whole environment around keeping our community safe is an evolving dialogue. And when you have a democratically controlled legislature that is maybe not as prone to protecting the public and changing the laws that we have to adhere to in terms of pursuit and how we try and keep our community safe. As the laws change at the state level, it forces us to make adjustments. And one of those adjustments is, you know, how we use the helicopter and other both technological and manpower issues to be able to make sure that we can keep our citizens safe. And so, you know, I do appreciate the sheriff's office and the helicopter unit in their increased activity to engage in providing some of the support that we need to make sure that we can, one, pursue those that want to engage in criminal activity, but even more than that, to engage in search and rescue and other issues and opportunities. You know, with regard to being able to budget, you know, the one thing we've experienced in the last, you know, probably 3 to 4 years with COVID and with the ARP funds and a lot of other funds, the Build Back and a lot of other funds, is we don't really have a lot of notice when grant opportunities present themselves. And in fact, we can get a grant opportunity that's totally new to the environment, and have literally 2 to 3 weeks to respond to a request. And so, while in a perfect world, we'd like to be able to say, we can plan for the future, that's not always realistic. And if you take a position that we're not going to do anything in the coming year that we didn't anticipate back in January, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table. And you're going to leave a lot of opportunities unmet because we were not responsive. And so I really want to applaud not only the sheriff's office, but our grants writing program and a lot of other departments within the county that are constantly looking for ways to leverage resources. Our road department is a great example of that. I think they get $3 from state and federal funds for every dollar we put in. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens with a concerted effort from a road department to go after those grant funds. And a lot of those grants come out with literally 3 to 4 weeks' notice, and you've got to submit an application. So you got to have your A game on all the time to be able to bring those resources back to the community. Bringing the resources back to the community is critical because every one of those dollars that we can spend that belong to somebody else that we can recruit, bring here, is one less dollar we have to spend of local taxpayer dollars. So just want to applaud the sheriff's office and all of the departments within the county that are very opportunistic when it comes to going after grant money. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, I have a motion and a second, again, for items 2, 3, 4, and all sub-items on today's agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. I'm just going to check with Mr. Simmons and Mr. Anderson to see if there's anything else for this afternoon.
Nothing further for me.
Nothing for me, Madam Chair.
Very good. Okay, then we will adjourn the meeting at this point in time. Thank you all very much for being here, and we will see you back next week.
Wow.